You've been measured your entire life, tested, sorted, ranked. They gave you numbers, percentiles, letter grades. They told you these numbers mattered, that they predicted your future, that they separated the smart from the average. They were measuring the wrong thing, because while you were busy trying to score higher on tests that don't matter, there was another sorting happening, invisible, brutal, permanent. A hierarchy that has nothing to do with how much you know and everything to do with whether you control your reality or your reality controls you. Look around, you've seen it. The person who barely graduated but somehow always lands on their feet. The one who talks less but decides more. The one who never tries to prove they're intelligent but somehow everyone defers to. Meanwhile, people with perfect credentials, flawless resumes, encyclopedic knowledge, they're still waiting, still hoping, still asking permission. What separates them isn't IQ. It's something else. Entirely. There's a ladder. Most people don't see it because they're standing on the bottom rung thinking everyone's on flat ground. That invisibility isn't an accident. It's design. The system stays stable precisely because 90% of the population doesn't know they're being used as the foundation for someone else's empire. Intelligence, real intelligence, isn't about what you can memorize or how fast you solve equations. It's about your ability to impose your will on reality before reality imposes its will on you. It's the difference between being a player and being played, between building your life and powering someone else's machine. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this 5 centuries ago. He didn't write about morality, he wrote about power, because he saw what most people refuse to see, that human nature runs on incentives, not ideals, that the world is divided not by good and evil, but by those who shape the game and those who don't even know they're in one. There are 7 levels to this ladder, 7 stages of cognitive evolution. Most people die on the first rung, never even realize they were standing on a ladder. A smaller number wake up to level 2 or 3. They see the game, but they're still playing by rules they didn't write. Very few make it past level 5. And those who reach level 7, society doesn't celebrate them. It eliminates them. Here's what you need to understand. Where you are on this ladder isn't about your education or your job title or how many books you've read. It's about whether you're conscious or unconscious, whether you decide or get decided upon, whether you're building the cage or living in it. And here's the part that's going to sting. You're probably not as high as you think you are. That's the trap. Everyone believes they're further up than they actually are. The sleeper thinks he's awake. The performer thinks he's a player. The player thinks he's a master. Meanwhile, the actual masters are invisible. The difference between level 1 and level 7 isn't intelligence in the way you've been taught to measure it. It's the difference between livestock and the farmer, between the battery and the device, between the game piece and the hand that moves it. Once you see this hierarchy, the people around you will start to look different. You'll see the strings, the patterns, the mechanical movements of people who think they're making choices but are just running code someone else installed. So let me ask you directly, are you ready to see where you actually stand? Let's start where most people are, not because it's comfortable, but because you need to see what you're escaping from. Level 1, the sleeper. This isn't about stupidity. You can have a high IQ and still be here. You can have advanced degrees and still be here. This is about something else entirely. Level 1 is defined by one thing: you don't act, you react. The alarm clock decides when you wake up. Your schedule decides when you eat. Your boss decides when you're valuable. The algorithm decides what you see. The headline decides what you're angry about. Your life is a series of responses to stimuli you didn't choose and triggers you didn't set. You think you're making decisions. You're not. You're running code, and someone else wrote it. Watch someone at level 1 for a week. They'll say things like, "I have no choice," or "What can I do?" or "That's just how it is." Everything that happens to them is someone else's fault. The economy, the government, their upbringing, their circumstances. They hand over authorship of their life to forces outside themselves, then spend their energy complaining about the Story. Psychologists call this external locus of control. It's the belief that outcomes are determined by external forces rather than your own actions. And once you adopt this belief, you become a passenger in your own existence. Competent, perhaps. Educated, maybe. But fundamentally, asleep. Here's what they don't tell you. The system needs people at level 1, not some people, most people. If everyone at level 1 woke up tomorrow morning and refused to work jobs that drain them, buy products they don't need, vote for politicians who betray them, consume media that enrages them, the entire structure would collapse within 48 hours. The economy runs on unconscious consumption. The political system runs on unconscious compliance. The social hierarchy runs on people who don't question it. That's why education is designed the way it is, not to create critical thinkers, to create obedient workers, people who can follow instructions, who can pass tests, who can operate within systems, but who never ask who built the system or why it exists in the first place. And level 1 isn't just people struggling at the bottom. You see it everywhere. Doctors who are brilliant at executing protocols, but never question why the protocols exist. Lawyers who master the law but never ask who the law serves. Engineers who build what they're told to build without asking what they're actually building. Competence without agency is just expensive slavery. Think now. How many of your beliefs did you actually choose? How many were installed? Your politics, your preferences, your definition of success, your idea of what a good life looks like. Where did these come from? Did you build them from first principles? Or did you absorb them from parents, teachers, media, the crowd around you? Most people at level 1 would be offended by this description. They'd say, I'm not asleep, I'm aware, I make my own choices. But if you press them, if you asked them to justify their beliefs, they'd crumble. They'd repeat talking points, headlines, things they heard someone else say that sounded smart. They're vessels, carrying other people's ideas, speaking other people's words, living other people's definitions of what matters. And the cruelest part? They're not even aware they're in a prison. Because the bars are invisible, built from assumptions they never questioned and beliefs they never chose. When someone at level 1 wakes up, they don't become wise immediately. They become obsessed with looking wise. That's level 2. Level 2? The curator. They've woken up to something. They've realized that intelligence, or at least the appearance of it, has value. It opens doors, commands respect, gets you taken seriously, but they haven't developed their own intelligence, so they curate someone else's. Level 2 is the collector. They accumulate credentials like trophies, degrees, certifications, courses completed, books on the shelf. They know the right names to drop, the right frameworks to reference, the right buzzwords for the right rooms. They've built an aesthetic of intelligence, but it's hollow. Listen to them speak. They'll quote books they skimmed, not read. They'll reference thinkers they've never studied, just heard about. They adopt political positions not because they've reasoned through them, but because those positions signal the right tribe. Everything is performance. Everything is optics. They're not trying to understand the world. They're trying to look like they understand it. This is the most psychologically exhausting level to be stuck in, because you're aware enough to see that there's a game happening. You know intelligence matters. You know perception shapes reality. But you're not brave enough to actually play the game. You're not willing to test your ideas, risk being wrong, or stand alone if necessary. So instead, you perform. For an audience of other performers, it's a theater where everyone is watching each other instead of the stage. Everyone is curating their image, monitoring their reputation, adjusting their persona based on feedback. No one is actually creating anything. They know just enough to feel superior to level 1. They look at the unconscious masses and think, at least I'm awake, at least I'm thinking. But they're not. They're just parroting more sophisticated scripts. Challenge someone at level 2 and watch what happens. They don't adjust, they don't consider, they attack, because their entire identity is wrapped up in the performance of being smart. Questioning their position isn't just an intellectual debate, it's an existential threat. They become rigid, defensive, aggressive. Because if they're wrong about this, what else are they wrong about? If the persona cracks, what's underneath? Usually nothing. That's the terror. Level 2 is a trap. You feel like you've ascended because you're no longer unconscious like level 1. You're reading, learning, engaging, but you're still not free. You're just dreaming a different dream, still living for external validation, still measuring yourself by other people's standards, still afraid to stand alone. The jump from level 2 to level 3 requires killing something, your need to be liked. That's the price of entry. Level 3, the operator, something shifts here. The need for validation dies. They stop caring what people think and start caring what works. This is where real agency begins. Level 3 sees the world differently. Everything is negotiable. Rules aren't laws of nature. They're agreements people forgot they agreed to. Morality isn't truth. It's a tool. Useful sometimes, inconvenient other times. They read incentives, not intentions. They watch what people do, not what they say. Machiavelli wrote that the fox recognizes traps and the lion frightens wolves. Level 3 has become the fox. Cunning, opportunistic, always scanning for advantage. They use timing, leverage, information asymmetry. They know when to speak and when silence is more valuable. They win quietly because loud victories create enemies. Their relationships become transactional, not cruel, just clear. Every interaction has a purpose. Strategic alliances replace friendships. They don't trust anyone because they assume everyone is playing the same game they are. And maybe they're right. They're effective, ruthlessly so. They climb, they optimize, they outmaneuver. While level 1 complains and level 2 performs, level 3 executes. They get results. But here's what they don't realize. This is exactly where the system wants them. Level 3 people are useful. They're ambitious enough to produce, smart enough to optimize workflows, capable enough to manage complexity, but not wise enough to question the game itself. They're so focused on winning within the rules that they never ask who wrote the rules or why. Corporate culture is designed to capture level 3 minds, climb the ladder, hit the targets, get the promotion, earn the bonus, make partner. The entire structure is built to keep you optimizing inside a framework you didn't design. You think you're winning because you're moving up. But up where? Toward what? For whom? You're the smartest person in a room you didn't choose to enter. You're winning games inside someone else's casino, and the house always wins. Level 3 is where most people who consider themselves successful plateau. They've escaped the unconsciousness of level 1. They've moved past the performance anxiety of level 2. They're competent, strategic, effective, but they're still playing by someone else's rules, still operating within systems built by higher intelligences, still reacting to a game board they didn't design. They think they're free because they're winning. They're not. They're just expensive. To break out of level 3, you need to stop optimizing and start creating. That's level 4, but it comes with a target on your back. Level 4, the builder. Level 4 adds something level 3 lacks: will, not just strategy, not just opportunism, conviction. The ability to see something that doesn't exist yet and force it into reality through sheer execution. Level 3 navigates the world. Level 4 shapes it. They build businesses, teams, platforms, systems. They're not parasitic, they're generative. They don't just exploit existing opportunities. They create new ones. They see gaps and fill them, problems and solve them, chaos and impose order. People follow them. Not because they're being manipulated like with level 3, but because level 4 represents certainty in an uncertain world. They make decisions when everyone else is paralyzed. They take responsibility when everyone else is deflecting. They say, "We're doing this," and people believe them because they've seen them execute before. Level 4 is visible power, the founder, the general, the architect of something that didn't exist before they showed up. They don't hide. They lead from the front. But visibility comes with a cost. Everything depends on them, their energy, their presence, their judgment. If they get sick, the machine stops. If they make one wrong call, the wolves circle. If they show weakness, the structure collapses. They think they're kings. They're not. They're the highest paid servants. Their power is tied to their body, their time, their stamina, and all of those are finite. They can't scale themselves. They can't delegate their essence. So they burn. They carry weight no one else can see. They make decisions with consequences that ripple for years. And they do it alone, because no one else can see what they see or hold what they hold. This is every founder hitting year 3 and realizing the business owns them, not the other way around. Every leader waking up exhausted, knowing that if they stop moving, everything stops. Power that requires your constant presence isn't power, it's a tether. They're building empires that die with them. Level 4 thinks power is about being seen, about standing at the front, about having your name on the door. Level 5 knows power is about being invisible. Now we cross into territory that makes people uncomfortable, the levels where influence happens in shadows. Level 5, the conductor. Level 5 understands something Level 4 doesn't. Force creates resistance. Push someone and they push back. Order someone and they resent you. Control someone and they look for the exit. But if you make them want what you want, you don't need force at all. This is the shift from power to influence. Level 4 moves the room. Level 5 designs the room so it moves itself. They don't command, they orchestrate. They control outcomes by controlling the frame, the narrative, the incentives. Sun Tzu wrote that the supreme art of war is subduing the enemy without fighting. Level 5 has mastered this. They win before the conflict starts because they wrote the rules everyone else is following. Watch how they operate. Never direct, always through intermediaries, through narratives, through engineered circumstances. They create situations where the outcome feels inevitable, but everyone involved believes they chose freely. That's the signature of Level 5, plausible deniability. They're shapeshifters, mirrors. To Level 1, they appear helpful. To Level 3, they're a strategic ally. To Level 4, they're a trusted advisor. None of them realize they're being positioned, being steered, being used. Conceal your intentions. That's the principle they live by. They become whoever they need to be to get what they want. Fluid, adaptive, invisible. They don't have fixed positions because fixed positions create targets. They have objectives, and they'll wear any mask necessary to reach them. They don't stand on the stage. They whisper to the person holding the microphone. This is where most people who study dark psychology think the ladder ends. Invisible control, maximum influence with minimum exposure. It feels like the peak. But there's a cost that no one talks about. When you wear masks long enough, you forget your face. When every interaction becomes a chess move, you lose the ability to simply be with someone. Connection dies. Trust becomes impossible, not just with others, but with yourself. They're ghosts, walking through the world, but not of it. They can predict human behavior with eerie accuracy. They can engineer outcomes most people don't see coming until it's too late. But they can't connect. They can't rest. They can't drop the performance. Because if they do, if they show what's actually underneath, what's there? Usually nothing. Just more strategy, more calculation, more emptiness dressed up as sophistication. Level 5 thinks they've transcended the game. They haven't. They're still reacting. To people, to situations, to resistance. They're just reacting more skillfully, more invisibly. But they're still responding to a game board they didn't build. Level 6 doesn't react. Level 6 builds the game board itself. Level 6, the architect. Level 6 stops manipulating people and starts designing environments. Here's the realization. Human behavior is a function of incentive structures. Change the structure, change the behavior. You don't need to convince anyone of anything. You just need to build the system so that the path you want them to take is the path of least resistance. They don't fight for grapes. They own the vineyard. What do they build? Institutions, platforms, economic systems, algorithms, ideologies, legal frameworks. The infrastructure that shapes how millions of people think, choose, and act, often without those people realizing they're being shaped at all. Level 5 convinces individuals. Level 6 designs systems that move populations. Level 5 thinks in years. Level 6 thinks in generations. Think about the platforms you're on right now. The people who built them don't care which side of the argument wins. They don't care if you're left or right, optimistic or doomed. They built the arena. They profit from the engagement itself, from the conflict, from the attention. That's architectural thinking. Create the conditions. Let human nature do the rest. This requires a completely different kind of intelligence. Not social intelligence, not even strategic intelligence. Systemic intelligence. Most people see one move ahead. Level 3 sees 3. Level 5 sees 5. Architects see 10, 20. They think in second order, third order, fourth order consequences. They don't just ask, what happens if I do this? They ask, what happens after that happens? And after that? And who benefits 3 moves later when no one remembers I was involved? They rig the incentives so the outcome is inevitable before anyone realizes the game has started. To reach this level, you have to kill something most people never even consider giving up: the need for personal glory, for recognition, for people to know it was you. Architects fall in love with structure itself. They become students of how civilizations actually function: economics, psychology, game theory, history, anthropology, behavioral science, all woven into a single understanding of how systems shape reality. Their names might survive history, but not as heroes, as the designers of the stage everyone else performed on. But even here, there's still a chain. They care if the system works. Their ego is projected into the structure. If it fails, they suffer. If it succeeds, they feel validated. They've transcended the need for personal power, but they're still attached to outcomes. That's the final limitation. There is one level beyond architecture, where you stop building and start simply being. Level 7 is not a strategy, it's a state. Level 7, the sovereign. Every level before this was about gaining something. Level 7 is about releasing everything. Complete internal sovereignty, total detachment from outcomes. You can't threaten someone who isn't attached to living, can't bribe someone who wants nothing, can't manipulate someone with no ego to stroke. They've mastered the final principle: assume formlessness. Water can't be grasped, can't be cut, can't be burned. It adapts to every container but belongs to none. Level 7 is water. They do only what's necessary, nothing extra. No wasted movement, no performance, no trying. Perfect clarity, because their vision isn't clouded by desire or fear. They see reality as it is, not as they wish it to be or fear it might become. The Stoics understood this: total mastery over what's internal, total release of what's external, will aligned with reality itself, not fighting the current, becoming it. Here's the paradox: they can descend to any lower level when needed. Play the fox in a negotiation. Lead as the lion when the situation calls for it. Design systems like an architect, then return to the void. They use the levels as tools, but they don't live there. They don't identify with them. This is why Level 7 is the most feared, not by individuals, by systems. Look at history: Socrates, Jesus, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton. They weren't killed for being evil. They were killed for teaching others they could be free, for showing people that the chains were imaginary, that sovereignty was possible. One person at Level 7 can wake thousands, and the system, any system built on control, cannot allow that. So it eliminates them, or tries to, because even in death, their message spreads. The sovereign is untouchable, not because they can't be harmed, but because harm has no leverage over them. Most people will never reach this level, not because they can't, but because the price is too high. You have to give up everything you think makes you you. Your need to be right, your need to be recognized, your need to matter, your need for the story to go a certain way. What's left after you release all of that? Everything and nothing. So where are you? Now comes the uncomfortable part. Most people watching this are between level 2 and level 3. You know the game exists. You might even be winning some rounds, optimizing, strategizing, climbing, but you're still playing inside someone else's system. Here's what they don't tell you about this ladder. Every level up requires a death. Not metaphorical, not symbolic. An actual psychological death of who you were, 1 to 2. You kill your innocence. You realize the world is a game, not a meritocracy. 2 to 3. You kill your need for approval. You stop performing intelligence and start executing. 3 to 4. You kill your safety. You step into visibility. You take responsibility. You become a target. 4 to 5. You kill your ego's attachment to recognition. You move from force to influence, from being seen to being unseen. 5 to 6. You kill your focus on individuals. You start thinking in systems, in structures, in generations. 6 to 7. You kill your attachment to outcomes entirely. You become sovereign. The person you are right now cannot exist at the next level. That's not a warning. That's the mechanism. Most people stop climbing not because they hit a skill ceiling. They stop because they're not willing to let the old self die. They'd rather stay comfortable at level 2 or 3, smart enough to feel superior, not brave enough to be dangerous. And that's exactly where the system wants you. School is designed to produce level 1, obedient, compliant, waiting for instructions. University produces level 2, credentialed, performative, collecting symbols of intelligence without developing actual agency. Corporate culture is designed to keep you at level 3, ambitious enough to produce, strategic enough to optimize, but never wise enough to question the game itself. They don't want level 6, they're terrified of level 7, because level 6 builds competing systems, and level 7 teaches people they don't need systems at all. So here's the question you need to answer, and answer honestly. Are you willing to die to who you've been? Not someday, now, today. Because if the answer is yes, then understand this. You don't climb by collecting more information. You climb by removing illusions. Each level is a layer of lies you stop believing. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't knowledge, it's courage. Specifically, the courage to stop being liked, to stop being safe, to stop being certain. These levels aren't just social positions, they're hardwired survival strategies. Level 1 is prey behavior, reactive, seeking safety in the herd. Level 3 is scavenger behavior, opportunistic, feeding on what others leave behind. Level 4 is apex predator, dominant, territorial, visible. Level 6 is ecosystem engineer, shaping the environment itself. Level 7 is beyond the food chain entirely. You're not just changing how you think, you're evolving beyond your biological programming. Most people turn back. They get to level 2 or 3, feel the discomfort of the next death, and retreat. They tell themselves it's not worth it, that they're fine where they are, that the people at higher levels have lost their humanity anyway. They prefer the warmth of the herd. And that's fine. The herd needs members. But it's cold on the mountain, lonely, unforgiving. The view, though, the view is different. When you reach a certain level, you stop seeing people as allies or enemies. You see patterns, incentive structures, systems, code. And once you see the code, you realize something liberating. The stress, the drama, the politics, the constant maneuvering, it was all just a game you don't have to play anymore. Power over self. That's all that matters. That's all that ever mattered. Everything else, the titles, the recognition, the fear, the control, it's just noise, distractions from the only real work, mastering the one thing you actually have sovereignty over, yourself. One last thing before you go. If you're still here, you're different. Most people clicked away by level 3 because it made them uncomfortable to see themselves clearly. Go to the comments right now and tell me, what level do you think you're at? Be honest. The lie you tell yourself costs more than the truth ever will. If this gave you language for something you've always felt but couldn't name, support it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, This isn't for everyone. It's for the ones who would rather see clearly and suffer than stay comfortable and blind. For the ones who choose sovereignty over safety.